Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Loret and I'm a Chrome Enterprise Partner Sales Engineer based in France. In this webinar, we are going to take a look at the Google Admin Console, a good opportunity for you to learn more about the MM part of our enterprise solution. About terminology and key concept, and just to be on the same page, you will see that we will be talking about Admin Console, policy, and organizational units. The Google Admin Console is the single point of control to manage both the Chromebook devices and users of those devices. So you will have access to this console through admin.google.com. Policies are the settings available that you can define and apply to users or devices. And an organizational unit is like a folder, a container for users, devices, and or settings in the console. You will manage organizational unit subset, and you will see that there is an inheritance concept. The admin console allows you to manage more than 200 policies available, so there is a lot of possibilities. We will talk about 3 different categories of settings. User policies, so you can manage over 100 Chrome user policies. Parameters will be applied to the user, no matter which Chrome device they use. And additionally, user policies can be applied to the Chrome browser on Windows or Mac, for instance. Device policies will be applied for anyone who uses the device, even if they sign in as a guest or with a personal Gmail account. And about application settings, you can specify if you want to force install and pin an application directly to the user session. Here is the difference between a device policy and a user policy. Device policies can be used to enforce settings on your organization's managed Chrome devices, regardless of who signs in. For instance, you can restrict signing to specific users, restrict signing to specific domain, block guest mode, force re-enrollment, and so on. User policies can be used to enforce settings on your organization's users, regardless of which Chrome device they are using. For instance, an IT administrator can pre-install apps for specific users, enforce safe browsing, set up the single sign-on, and apply some other settings to users across your organization. An important information, settings are mutually exclusive. There are no policies that conflict. About organizational unit. We can see here an example of organizational unit hierarchy. An important point is about users and devices. The best practice is always to have a specific branch for devices and another one for users or population. If a company needs to use multiple use cases, it's important to create a separate OU for each use case to apply the necessary policies in terms of devices policies. It's the same for users population. Feel free to create a dedicated OU for VPs, directors, and so on. In fact, the policy restriction should be more restrictive in terms of security for a sensitive population. More details about OU and policies behavior. A policy is inherited to all your organizational unit hierarchy. In other words, you can apply a policy to the OU that you have on target. However, keep in mind that sub-organizational unit will inherit policies from the parent OU. This means that any change to the parent OU will be immediately applied to all sub-organizational units. So be careful. If you want to have a specific configuration for a population, for instance, you can avoid inherited settings, there is no problem. To create a new OU, from the admin console homepage, click on Organizational Unit, then on the yellow plus. Once organizational unit has been set up, the next step is to create user accounts. There are 3 different ways to add users to the Google Admin Console. The first is manual, so you will add one by one manually each user and group in the console. The next is CSV upload. You can add multiple users at once by uploading a CSV file in the console. And the last is Google Cloud Directory Sync. With this tool, you can automatically provision users, groups, and contacts based on the user's data in their identity server, such as Microsoft Active Directory. The tool will synchronize the data, such as users, groups, and chat contacts, from the LDAP server into the Google domain. It can also be used to periodically synchronize users if needed. About admin roles. We can see on this animation the list of all admin roles profile that you can use in your organization and who to assign a role to a user. This is the default list, but you can create a new custom role and assign this one. For instance, you may wish to grant some staff member the ability to change an employee's password if they have forgotten. From the admin role menu, you just need to click on Create a new role, enter a name, and select the permission on the list. Configure network settings. Some information about network settings. Wi-Fi protocol, so obviously Chrome devices support the most common Wi-Fi protocol, Ethernet network, and VPN connection. Google recommends using the admin console to push network configurations. These configurations are downloaded and applied to the Chrome device during the enrollment process. Updates to network profile are also pushed during automatic policy refresh on the Chrome device. Chrome policies can be used to push network at either the device level or the user level. The device level network are available at the login screen, in kiosk or managed guest mode, or when any user login. And the user level network are only applied after the user login. This configuration mode can be used to switch users to networks with additional privilege, like access to internal tools after logging, for instance. As mentioned previously, the network section controls policy for Wi-Fi, Ethernet, VPN, and certificate. Note that policies set in this section can be applied to mobile devices or Google Metro hardware and not just to Chrome OS devices. To create a new Wi-Fi profile, from the console home page, click on Device, Network, Create Wi-Fi Profile, then enter all details about your network. User, device, and apps policies. As I said previously, there are more than 200 options available in the console for a fast and very simple management. Here is an overview. User and browser settings. You can set policies for users independently of device. This setting will also be applied if the user is using a non-managed computer running Chrome. You can configure enrollment control settings, security aspect, and create a personalized experience for the individuals. Network settings, so from this category and as so previously, you can provide, for instance, a specific network configuration to devices without needing to touch the actual device, Wi-Fi configuration, certificate, VPN, and so on. The device settings section configure your organization's Chrome devices regardless of who signs in. You can specify which user can log in, if the guest mode can be used, who the user powers on the device, and many more features. About managed guest session settings, with this mode, multiple users can share the same device running Chrome OS without having to sign in to their Google account. You can manage completely the user experience and session comportment. And about apps and extensions, on this section you can manage and deploy Android apps, Chrome apps and extensions, progressive web app, and if needed, you can force installation and pin application directly on the user session. So we can see that devices can be deployed with pre-configurations, saving your IT effort while maintaining security control. The TCO, total cost of ownership, can be reduced without sacrificing security. A focus on user policies and considerations. The first is about device enrollment permission. With this feature, an administrator can specify if a user in a particular OU is allowed to enroll a new Chrome OS device into the domain. With the force install apps and extension settings, an admin can choose to automatically install all apps and extensions that he needs on the device. All apps will be available on the user session after signing in with a managed account, and the users can't remove force install apps. Allow or block all apps and extensions. You can select to allow or block users from installing apps and extensions. Based on the setting, admins can create a blacklist or a whitelist. About incognito mode, if an admin wants to disable this feature, he can prevent users from opening incognito windows. And about proxy mode, these settings specify who Chrome connect to internet. So if an admin leaves this setting at default, so allow user to configure, a user can change the proxy configuration in their Chrome settings. This time, a focus on devices policies and consideration. An important feature is forced re-enrollment. This policy ensures that your device stays as an enterprise device, that it can be wiped and re-enrolled. For instance, you can force the re-enrollment of the device with the same user credential and domain after a wipe. The next is disable device return instruction. This setting allows an administrator to customize the message shown on a disabled Chrome device. The best practice is to turn on this one with a message if someone finds the device or if the device is lost and you want to disable. The guest mode, so if an administrator chose to disable this feature, only the company's registered employees can use company's owned Chrome devices. Signing restriction, with this setting, administrator can ensure that only the company's registered employees can log into. Automatic updates, you can allow or not automatic updates, apply a restriction for a specific OS version, and so on. But the recommendation is to enable automatic updates. If necessary, these settings can be disabled temporarily for a specific OU, for instance. And release channel. You can change the release channel if needed, but the best practice is to have no more than 5% of your users on beta and the remaining part on the stable channel. This allows new features to be tested before the next Chrome OS release. Once a company has set up and applied user and device policies, they may also choose to configure printer settings. Customers can set up Chrome devices to print to both local and network printers. Chrome Native Printing is an enterprise-rich features based on the common Unix printing system standard, so CUPS, and for the most enterprise use cases, Chrome Native Printing is the recommended approach. It offers the most enterprise-rich features to both today and on the Chrome product roadmap. It uses the Internet Printing Protocol, IPP, to support printing to local and network printers. When a printer is added, it automatically appears in the users list of Chrome printers. An administrator can specify the printers that users in a specific organizational unit can use. IT administrators can have control of who Chrome apps, Chrome extensions, and Android apps are installed and used on devices. Let's look at specific considerations for different types of apps. Chrome apps and extensions. Chrome apps run on Chrome OS and provide a native application experience that can run in their own application windows. Chrome extensions extend the functionality of Chrome browser and the website being viewed. They are delivered from the Chrome Web Store, but can also be self-hosted if needed. An administrator can allow, block, or force install apps and extensions. They can also pin installed app to the taskbar, push a configuration file, and block access to a particular permissions or URLs. Android apps. The Google Play Store contains over 2.6 million apps, including many business applications. An administrator can whitelist apps to be available in the managed Google Play Store. He can allow, block, force install, and configure Android apps per organizational unit. Linux containers. In the spring of 2018, Google announced that the ability to run a Linux container was coming to Chrome OS. Linux application can extend a business's Chromebook capabilities and open up all sorts of interesting options. About apps and extension settings. The Google Admin Console offers a single page for managing apps and extensions under Device, Chrome, then Apps and Extension menu. This unified section in the console allows administrators to manage Chrome extension, Android apps, progressive web apps, and URLs. As you can see on this animation, from this menu, click on the yellow plus, then select Google Play Store for example, then select your app and accept all permissions. The reporting is an important feature for customers and to be able to identify who have performed a particular action, for instance. As your organization's administrators, you'll want to get a consolidated view of user status and account activity. The account activity report page will give you access to all data from the user account status, admin status, and two-step verification enrollment report. You can narrow your report to show specific events. For example, you can create a filter to find all users who are using two-step verification, or you can create a filter to list people who created or deleted a specific OU, and so on. In addition, you can export your aggregate report data to Google Sheet or download it as a CSV file. Now it's finished for this Admin Console overview. Let's move to the Admin Console demonstration.